today Omar Khan spoke to both the local media and the media as a mass, addressed a bunch of stuff. Obviously, the Steelers quarterback situation was the biggest thing, the biggest topic of note by everybody. He was immediately asked, hey, what are you going to do? He was actually asked, are you going to trade for Justin Fields? And he didn't shut the
He
door.
said
but
yes. It's crazy. No, he did
yeah,
not say that.
he had more to say about Kenny Pickett, more to say about Mason Rudolph than he did anybody else. And I think that's where we start today. He confirmed that the team has been in contact with Mason Rudolph's representatives, also said that they have, quote unquote, full faith in Kenny Pickett to this point, reiterated once again that they want Mason Rudolph to return. But he also said that he thinks every player has the right to or deserves to see what options are out there. You look at the situation, you hear what Omar says today. It's almost nothing new, but you hear it from another voice in another way. Your thoughts, to know that they're still reaching out. You think that talks are going smoothly at this point. We're a little under 2 weeks away from the actual free agency doors opening, and the Steelers have the opportunity still to ink a contract before then if they'd like to.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this is a lot of the same information, just kind of repackaged into Omar Khan. But what I found notable was, what Khan said about, how every player deserves to kind of explore their own market. Because I think that kind of indicates to me that this is going to be a slow process with Mason Rudolph. They are going to, because the reality is whether or not Omar Khan thinks that every player deserves to explore their own market, they're going to. So Mason is going to see what he can get. He's going to see what his options are. He's going to see who wants him. I think I had higher expectations than for what he could get and the opportunities that he could get than it seems like some other people, like especially in the national media, think. So wherever his market goes, Mason's going to follow it, and he's going to really do his homework, because I think I've said earlier in the offseason, this is a huge offseason for him, like personally. This is a pivotal year for him to get a paycheck, for him to maybe get an opportunity somewhere that leads into another big paycheck. So he's owes it to himself to, like Omar said, explore all of his options, see what's really going to be the best fit for him. And to that extent, the Steelers are going to just have to probably wait a little bit, because that's going to be a process that's going to take a minute. He's going to exhaust every kind of avenue that he has for seeing what he can get. And so the Steelers are going to have to be a little patient. I feel like he knows what the Steelers are going to be able to offer him, what their deal is, what the situation is there. And, until he makes a decision, though, the Steelers are kind of forced to sit on their hands a little bit, because they've said they want Mason back. They want him to be a part of this competition with Kenny Pickett. So it kind of hinges on what he decides to do.
I agree. I look at the situation and I say the Steelers understand fully that they are probably going to walk into free agency, and maybe Mason gets a new deal, maybe not. Can I ask you this? Do you think that the Steelers, and we've had this conversation before, but I think that things have changed, and we've talked to a lot of people since then and gotten some insight on really the direction that the Steelers are looking. Do you think that they're willing to wait at least maybe a day or two into free agency and saying, hey, Mason still hasn't signed elsewhere, we'll keep the door open because we'd like him to see, just like he said, just like Omar said, we'd like him to see what his market is. Then we can play with that. Maybe best case scenario, it suits them better because his market's not that high, and he wants to come back for Pittsburgh for maybe less money.
Oh, you mean like wait for him to kind of get some offers from other teams and then see?
Yeah, and maybe not even offers, but maybe just open. Like we've had the conversation before where it's you kind of think maybe the Steelers won't give Mason Rudolph time to explore other things because they'll look to move on. Do you think that instead they'll view it as, look, he deserves the opportunity to go in free agency, but we want him to be our guy? Omar kind of let it slip for like a half a second that he was like, yeah, Mason does like it here in Pittsburgh. And then, went back to the whole, but he's a free agent. And I was like, yeah, I think both sides kind of, they like each other. Mason just fully understands that he may never have this opportunity again. So do you look at it and just say, maybe they'll leave the door open for a day or two once the market opens, just to say, okay, we'll let Mason do his thing and then hope he comes back?
I think what they'll say is, look, just before you make any final decisions,
Yeah.
come back to us. Like let us give us a chance to basically give us a chance to match this. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, and you can go sign with who you want to. But just let us kind of have the final say. Let us decide. Let us respond to any offers you get, because I think, like you said, there is definitely mutual interest. I think Mason has a personal attachment to this city,
Yes.
to the team that drafted him, and especially after getting the kind of chance that he did towards the end of the season, I think he feels a connection to the organization in that way, and so I don't think he's going to say completely, "Oh, I'm closing the door as soon as I get an offer that I like." I think he's going to. I guess you could call it doing right by the Steelers, but I think he's going to keep that door open, because who knows who knows how high the Steelers are willing to go. I mean, especially if that price tag isn't as high as maybe I thought it was going to be. I think the
Yes.
Steelers would absolutely be willing to reach a little bit more with the higher salary cap, with all of the stuff that they have going on. So I think they are saying to Mason, hey, just keep us in mind. We're going to still be here. We're willing to be a little bit patient with you too.
I agree. I think that the Steelers and Mason probably have an understanding. And I think Mason does too. Like, I think Mason wants to see if he could get more money, but I don't think he thinks there's a better opportunity. And I don't think that there is a better opportunity. I don't think you could go anywhere else and say, well, on the like nobody's going to guarantee him a starting job. And at least in Pittsburgh, you're going to have the opportunity to compete with somebody that really you've already beaten out. Like, once given a fair shot, you've already beaten out Kenny Pickett. So I don't think that he's going to have I think he's going to view the Steelers as, this is a spot where if the Steelers offer me a realistic contract, something that I think I could work with, and nobody's tossing me crazy dollars, the Steelers are the team I'm going to sign with. And I think Pittsburgh understands that. I think Omar Khan understands that. I think that they know he wants to do his due diligence, obviously, because this is a lot. Like, it's not a couple of bucks, it's not like he might get $1 million more here, $1 million. Like, I think, they're leaving it open just in case somebody wants to be like, hey, here's $10 million a year. Okay, sounds good. Like, that's where I'm going, but I don't think that he views anywhere else as a better opportunity than Pittsburgh. And I think because of that, both sides will they'll have some wiggle room, to during this whole thing, to say, you explore what you need to explore. We understand that we kind of hold some upper ground, and we'll take it from there. And once that happens, if Mason goes elsewhere, then you take it to step 2. But for right now, it kind of just sounds like there's a process, and both sides have an understanding. And I don't think we've gotten to that point yet when it came to this negotiation.
Yeah, exactly. And they're both, yeah. I think the fact that, like, Mason, I'm just surprised that their interest doesn't seem to be as high, like, from elsewhere. Like, you haven't heard any buzz about, like, oh, so and so team is interested in Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's a fit for so and so team who needs a quarterback. Yeah. I think that gives the Steelers a little bit of calm. That gives Mason a little bit of, okay, let me be patient with this as well. Let me see where the market goes with this. I think both sides are not. I mean, standoff makes it sound like like it's an adversarial relationship, which I don't think it is. But it's just everyone's just kind of holding where they are right now. And then the Justin Fields trade will drop, and then and then it's all moot.
And then it'll all change, and then everything will change, and then everything will change. In the midst of, it was actually hilarious. Omar's talking, and he gets asked that, and I'm sure we'll toss the video up on YouTube at some point, but he gets asked about Justin Fields, and he says everything's open. And then somebody else is like, what about Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson? And it was obviously in a joking manner, and Omar couldn't even hold it back. And I was like, that's good. At least he knows, at least he's got a full understanding of, here it is. This is going to happen.